the world rewards those that create value. Period, full stop. Whether you like it or not, you live in a world, it's called capitalism. It's how society rewards people. It's not who works the hardest, because the guy that built that cement wall or puts that roof on a house, he worked harder than I did. So that's not what it is. It's, did you become more valuable? So I ask my kids every night when I put them to bed, what value did you create today? And they have to scan their brain and they go, oh, I didn't do anything today. Did you help anybody? Well, I helped my friend Max. All right, cool. But again, I think questions are the programming language of the mind.
I agree. So
I'm very intentional about my questions. Like one of mine for just personal happiness is the question, how do I appreciate even more God's grace and guidance in this moment? I ask myself that question a dozen times a day.
Our education system, Dan, is creating test takers, not pathfinders.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're only teaching people how to answer questions, and we've beat the curiosity out of them. So they leave this K through 12 setting, they go to a college setting, which isn't much different. They're partying, but now they got this unbelievable vice grip pressure to pick a major that gives them a good job and a good life, and they realize, oh, I'm not ready for this. And then we put them out into the real world, and it's been years since they asked a question, who am I? Mm-hmm. What am I good at? What lights my heart up? I think that's the challenge.
Yeah.
What are your comments on that?
The unfortunate part about life is you can't split test it.
Right.
So it's not like I can run 20 years with one child this way and 20 years a different way. So a few things. I believe every kid is homeschooled. It's whether the parents are awake to it or not. I think most parents spend more time figuring out where they're going to go on vacation next than what their kids are learning in school. I learned it firsthand, and my kids are in, one's in kind of a Montessori school, the other one's in a different school. And I remember when they started emailing us curriculum, and I'm like, oh, wow, like I didn't choose that. That's like, it actually never occurred to me until I had my own children start in school that there's a group of people that sat down to outline what it is they're going to learn, and that I was never consulted, nor did I influence it. So when I started realizing that, and then I started taking accountability to help shape at least the home side, the curiosity. And then I would just ask them, like when, 2 years ago when ChatGPT came out, I asked them, are they teaching AI at school? They go, what? Well, that's fascinating. So how about I do that? And even the idea of like post-secondary education. I mean, unfortunately, I think that most school is nothing but government subsidized babysitting. And again, it's not the teacher's fault.
That's right. And they're part of a system.
But the whole structure's changed. Like why? Like even the summertime off. Like I know that it sounds fun, but that's because of a farming structure that we don't do anymore. And then, to your point with Pathfinders, which I love that language, my kids know when they're done high school, I'm buying them a one-way ticket to some place in Europe. And you're gonna go find yourself. Somebody goes, well, how do I figure out what I'm supposed to be doing in life? And I go, the same way you figure out what ice cream you like. Sample. When I go to the gelato place, and I've never been there before, and I'm looking at all these cool flavors, I'm like, I want to try that one. That's right.
Like, I apologize before I even get to them.
Yeah, we're gonna
see me next time. I go, I apologize for the million questions and samples we're about to go through. Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah.
How am I supposed to know what's my favorite ice cream? It's so silly if you think about it.
Right.
So I've already kind of sketched that thing for them, and then because I have that context. And they hear this stuff. Well, okay, I've got to go travel the world. Well, how am I supposed to get back? We'll go figure out how to create value.
All right, we got a question.
Dan, your story is really personal to me. You've had experience being locked up, using drugs. 4 years ago, I came home from prison, spent a lifelong using drugs, and have really thrown my life into community service, working with nonprofits, trying to keep kids out of trouble, set a positive example, and I actually got elected back in May to our local Board of Education. You made a comment about, I didn't even choose this. I don't even want my kids to learn this. At the Board of Education locally, we don't either, right? Like the state has some say in it, and the federal government does. So my question to you is, if in an alternate universe you were appointed to a local public Board of Education, like knowing what you know with your personal experience and your business experience, what would be the first thing you would try and do to create some better health outcomes? Or just
can I do anything?
If you think it'll work.
What would I do is, first off, I would restructure the curriculum to what do kids actually need to learn? Because memorizing things in a world of ChatGPT makes zero sense to me. I would tuck in what they're learning or need to learn, critical thinking. So that's when I think of the skills that my kids need to understand, emotional intelligence, critical thinking, value creation, etc. I would do that. And I tuck in the curriculum into a passion area because nobody told me to write code. I wanted to write code. Anytime you see a problem, you got to look at the incentive structure. And usually you'll find out why it's like that. And then you got to undo the financial incentive structure because people will do what they're incentivized for.
That's good. Thank you, man.
Love that.